even if us having this conversation encourage one person to have one conversation, to hear one story, possibly grab a meal and share it with them, something they love, but not just hand the meal and walk away, actually sit down and have that conversation. And so if we can all, do that for one other person, it's a game changer.
That would cover everybody.
It would.
One by one.
It would. Being on the streets is horrible.
Yeah, and I think there's this fairy tale. I see it all the time in my comments of the videos, like, you're in Hawaii, what better place? Or just go get a rod, or, go find a fruit tree. Like, 90% of homeless here are in an urban setting. And I'm just making that up, 90%. But
yeah.
The average homeless experience here, you're not at the beach, and you're not, away from all these people. It is so crowded here. And, you're on the reality of being homeless on Oahu, more than likely, I'd say 80, 90%, dirty streets, loud city environment. I think people think this island, is like some of what we would, think of the outer islands, where there's so much space.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of space here.
100%.
And, within the homeless community, there's, competition for resources, and, it can get very territorial. So if you're coming out here to be homeless thinking it's going to be easy, especially,
yeah,
people fresh from the mainland,
you're
going more than likely you're going to be targeted.
Yep.
Easy pickings. You don't know you don't know the way of life. You don't know where to go. You don't know the laws. More than likely you didn't do your research on the sweeps or the sit and lie ban and all of that. So I hear pretty often that it's a harsh reality to come here thinking that it's going to be sunshine and rainbows, and then people,
yeah, I mean, you're speaking my language. I say that all the time, and no matter where you go, where you live, living on the streets it sucks. And the biggest thing for me, Zach, and I think, you would agree with this, is I say this a lot, and maybe I need to figure out a better way to say it. Maybe somebody young like you with a fresh mind can say it better.
I'm not that young. Not anymore.
But compared to me, you are. But I just say, that's just not a life well lived. Because I do believe, and that's why I commend you so much for what you do with students, right? Because number one, the pay isn't great. And you got to do a lot of schooling to do it, but you're making the hard road has led you to make an impact in somebody's life. But I guess what I was trying to say is you are living out a life of purpose.
Thank you.
And you're finding incredible fulfillment in it. And you have an incredible heart for people living on the streets, and there's probably a real correlation there, right? Just that our life was not designed to just take the easy road. Our life was designed to help others, and that's part of our design.
We're called.
We're called to work.
To have, a fulfilling purpose.
Yep. And so if you're living on the streets and not living that out to the fullness of capacity, that's, and so I guess, just in processing, why am I so dedicated, but I am able, praise God, right, and same for you, to go home and have a roof over my head so that I can get out of the elements and really, even as a teacher, right, and me leading River of Life Mission, we are able to go home, eat a meal, and get a good night's sleep. So what? So we can do do the work that God's
Yeah.
called us to the next day
Right.
with the best of our ability. If you or I were living on the streets, I'd be coming into River of Life, or you'd be going to work with students, and you'd be spent.
Right.
And
You're not able to recharge because you're looking over your shoulder all night.
100%.
You didn't get more than, you had to split what we would have at one meal over the entire day. And, that's in addition to the elements. And
yes, the crime,
you
the
probably
elements.
got moved 3 times
Yeah.
last night. You had to go, it's,
and then worse is if you're a woman, I mean,
yeah, that's just an
women
entirely
are
different set of challenges.
And it breaks my heart.
And I'm so lucky. Compared to the people that I talk to living out on the side of the street, I've had it easy. 2 loving parents that never split up. My father's had a great career, so I didn't get that childhood trauma. I had such great examples to where I've been, and they've really shown so much love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where my drive comes from, because I just feel so lucky to be in a position where I can get off work and I still have the energy to go maybe make another positive impact on someone's life, and that's rare.
Wow, I mean, that gives me chills.
Yeah, I mean, it's real.
That's
rare. I'm not working construction, overtime just to feed a family, and then go home and I need my dinner made for me, and I'm having a beer and calling it a night. I'm in a position to where I can give more than the bare minimum, and so I think anybody who's in that position wants to help, because they're not, not all their time and thoughts and energy is consumed with what they're doing, just staying afloat.
Survival.
Yeah.
I mean, what you just said is so powerful, right? Because that is, ultimately a life of purpose, especially for us as men, is to work, right? But then to be able to still have the capacity to go home and serve others, or on the way home, right? Serve others and help. And a lot of that is because of having a roof over your head and some stability, and and thank God for your parents. One of the things I've thought, Zach, a lot of times is, unfortunately, a lot of people, same for me, growing up in an incredibly blessed family. I've always thought, man, how much more do we need to stand in the gap for people that didn't have that?
Yeah.
Right. And I've thought about that a lot when I'm out, walking with people on the streets and hearing their stories. Like they didn't have the life, the upbringing that you and I had. But how could I now fill in the gap to be a fatherly influence or brotherly influence or just a friend, right? That can, I mean, it's crazy to think that, we started this time talking about most people end up on the streets because of broken family and broken relationships, right?
Definitely.
So really that's all our heart of even filming something like this would be, to encourage people just fill in the gap in relationally with one person, right?
Yeah.
And I think you would agree, that even if us having this conversation encourage one person to have one conversation, to hear one story. And I mean, I think my goal is to not encourage somebody to go out and start a River of Life mission. My encouragement is, could you just meet one person on the streets, possibly grab a meal and share it with them, something they love, but not just hand the meal and walk away, actually sit down and have that conversation and share life. And even as you talked about your mom and dad, you learned at a very early age that the richness of life is in the relationship you even have with your mom and dad.
Yeah.
And it's led to a lot of hope and beauty in your life. And so if we can all you know, do that for one other person, it's a game changer.
That would cover everybody.
It would.
One by one.
It would.
And you're exactly right. And I always think that, like, if I can help one person get off the street, this will all be worth it. If I can connect one family with their loved one that they don't know where they're at, they haven't seen in years, you know, and so it'll all be worth it just to help one person. People, you know, I get comments. It's like, you know, you're not gonna help. You're not gonna be able to help someone get off the street. You know, they're, you know, all those stereotypes. They're lazy. They should help themselves. They're just looking for a hand up or a handout.
Yeah.
And it's like, if this can help one person, it'll all be worth it.
Well, I know for a fact this already helped one person. Guaranteed. And the big thing is there's always going to be naysayers, but the thing, and we'll talk more, you know, is I'd love to talk more. How do we do this one by one,
I'd love
right?
to do a couple of these.
Well,
this
for
is
sure.
Going so well.
Yeah, and I love.
I haven't even.
Yeah, I just trashed the cards. I lost my train of thought, but it's all good.
That's my fault.
No.
Shouldn't have flipped.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Cut.